Hey guys, I'm Kristen from College Lead. I help students with planning high school courses and extracurriculars and also guide them through the college application process. Welcome to the next episode of Campus Conversations with College Lead, where I talk with current students and recent graduates at different colleges across the US to give you an idea of the different ways you can prepare for college based on your interests. Today we have a very special guest, Austin, and I guess just to start off with, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
For sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Austin. I'm a rising senior at Princeton University studying computer science and public policy as an independent concentration I made myself. My big passions are entrepreneurship, tech, performing arts. A fun fact about me is I helped found the freestyle rap group at Princeton. And right now I am a product manager at Microsoft, interning there.
Nice. That is super exciting. Will we get a freestyle rap clip somewhere in this interview?
Ooh, maybe.
We'll see. Could you maybe walk me through the beginning then, just back to high school? What extracurriculars did you do? How did you develop them? And how did you find your passion?
Yeah, so I had so many interests in high school. The major ones were I was part of my school's musical. I was part of this youth volunteering group called Leaders Club, which is student-led volunteering group, which was really huge, and that was a huge point of my life. I was a member of the improv team at my high school. I was part of this group called Ethics Bowl, which is, for lack of a better word, a debate style where you just explore the ethical concepts and kind of the questions that you might have around different scenarios and different cases. I led a group called Team Jade, which was all about raising awareness for hepatitis type B. And I launched a speaker series in high school where we would bring different speakers in each semester or each quarter to talk with different members of the student body.
Obviously, you've experienced a lot of success in high school. Care to share any time management or study tips?
I would say the best skill you can cultivate in high school, which is going to serve you so well in college, is learning how to make the most out of that negative time. You are going to have moments where you're going to have 10 minutes or 15 minutes. They just appear, it's unscheduled. That is always a great opportunity to try tackling some of your work. Especially me, towards, senior year, our junior year, I was taking 5 APs and I was in the lead in my school's musical. So I would literally be until, 4:30, and then I would be doing rehearsal from 4:30 to 11. And still in high school, I was able to get like 7 hours of sleep each night. And I think for me, how you learn to do it, and honestly, musicals were a great teacher for me. When you're not actively doing something, that's a time for you to be doing something else. There's so many instances where, it might not be your turn. It might not be, you might not be fully committed to it. And that's the best opportunity. I used to do my calculus homework in the wings in between my scenes. And that's just the skill set that you have to do and the mentality. And I think it serves you so well in college because you're not going to have these blocks of like 3 hours at a time where you're doing the same task. You're going to have so many instances where you have 30 minutes between classes or 45 or even something weird like 10 minutes between when you end one class or when you get to a class and when it starts. And knowing how to prioritize and figure out what tasks you can do for them and what tasks you need to save for another time is the best way, in my opinion, to really prepare you for college. It's so tough because you're going to be tempted because there's going to be other people sitting around you who's going to be talking or socializing or playing a game on their laptop. Learning that there's a better way to use that time is the way that I think you can really have a lot of the things you want to have out of your high school experience.
Okay, let's fast forward a little bit. You're applying to colleges now. You are figuring out how to present yourself to colleges. How did you strategically go about that in terms of the ideas you wanted to put down in the essays and the extracurriculars you wanted to highlight?
The best way to think about it is there's so many thousands of people who are trying to show who they are to these college admissions officers. And the best way to stand out is to have a story that really comes across not only in the essays you write, but weaves through the extracurriculars and the activities. One of the good things about the Common App, if you are applying to the Common App, you can put down a ton of extracurriculars there, right? A lot of people have multifaceted things. The important part is that you're able to say, okay, take a step back. What about me is interesting and unique and is kind of uniquely me, where I don't see a lot of other people in my school the same way, and try to write about that. I think the worst thing you can do is turn an essay into some spotlight on everything you've done with an extracurricular, because that's not really compelling at the end of the day. When I got into college, the big national story was that there was a girl who got into like 6 Ivy Leagues, writing about her experience growing up and going to Costco's with her family. But what she did there was that she showed parts of her personality that were reiterated through the activities, but might not become apparent if you didn't have that information already. So I think the best college applications have strong individual parts that are greater than the sum of their whole.
But for you, how did you decide what specific topics to write about in your essay? How did you go about finding that, I guess, underlying common factor that may not be obvious to other people?
So for me, it was 2 things. One, I knew that I wanted to frame myself as someone who is an active community leader and someone who is an active volunteer. For me, I'm happy to expand more. Basically, I was part of this really fantastic youth volunteer group called Leaders Club. We had over 200 members. Annually, we volunteered about 20,000 hours each, and it was led entirely by high school students and middle school students. So I had the opportunity to join that board, and I really not only got to do a lot of phenomenal work with that, but also be able to learn so much from that. And so for me, I made sure to write not about my experience doing that, not my experience specifically doing that role, but a moment within that role that was really important for me, where it was a pivotal moment of growth. And then, I had letters of rec from people, from a program advisor who watched over it. Refreshing thing I think college admissions officers can read is some sense of depth, where they feel like there's a story, but across everything you show, they have a real tangible sense of who you were. And for me, I wanted to make sure that all the parts of my application, although there's different weights to them, that there was a consistent line between the letters of rec, the extracurriculars, the essays I chose to write about. So one essay I wrote about my experience in this group, and then my struggle with my identity being Latinx and gay. That for me was the specific kind of moment and thing I wanted to talk about within the context of this larger extracurricular that I did. And then I wrote my second essay, my Common App essay, if you can believe it. I wrote about, again, related to this group, where I was at camp with a roommate, and one of my roommate's best friends had died early. He had gotten intoxicated and drowned in a river when he was 17. And I wrote about the difficulty I felt for trying to be there for someone who I didn't really know, that I didn't have this common bond with, yet I cared about, and having to live with them, to see them at night after the day was done, and spend long periods of time together alone. And I think for me, I wanted to write it not only because it was weighty for me, but because I felt like I had learned a huge amount about talking and working with people. Generally, they advise you, I think, to avoid writing about death and divorce and disease, like a disease you might have, because they're so common. But I felt that I had this unique perspective, and that it wasn't really a story about the death. It was me trying to learn these interpersonal skills afterwards, and kind of my journey, so removed yet feeling very intimate to it, which I think potentially came across well.
Mhm. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I know it's a very personal aspect, so I really appreciate it. But I also just second that idea of it's okay to write about topics that may be common as long as you have your own unique spin to it. Um, that's actually something I mentioned in another one of my videos, which I'll try to link up in the description here. But yeah, so let's fast forward a little bit. What is campus life at Princeton like?
Oh God, Princeton's campus, one of the most beautiful things about Princeton as a university is that it's pretty small. Total
Mm,
enrollment is 8,000. And undergraduate enrollment is about 5.5 thousand.
wow,
So
that is smaller than Harvard.
it's a lot
That
smaller.
is crazy. Yeah.
So what's amazing and what's great is that everything is on one pretty much continuous plot of land. Why I say that is Princeton is the type of university where I continue to meet people, new people all the time. And yet when I walk from one class to another, I run into at least 5 people I know. Um, and that's probably my favorite part is that every time I walk out of my dorm, I know I'm going to see someone and be able to say hi and catch up with them on the walk over. I've actually had to like force myself to not stop and talk so much. Because not only do I make myself late, but I probably am making them late, but they're too nice to say it.
So moving to academics, how did you decide what you want to major in? Did you know from the get-go, or was there sort of an exploratory period?
At Princeton, you're only allowed to major in one thing. You can't double major. So I knew from the very beginning that if I could, I would double major computer science, public policy. I love tech. I had always been part of tech, and the public policy school is kind of one of these signature programs at the university. And I initiated the process of creating my own concentration.
Wow.
Creating your own major at Princeton is a pretty long process from start to actually getting it. It was probably about 9 months. Um, and it's just an arduous process because there's so much academic freedom that comes with it. I think less than 3 people get a unique independent concentration approved each year.
Wow.
Um, so it really is a small kind of limited thing. But for me, I knew that my goal at the end of the day was to kind of apply computer science in a more policy context and get that part of my education. And it was really a no-brainer. Um, and funny enough, I got so many no's and people doubting me before I got it. And then as soon as I got it, I heard a lot of people tell me, oh, that's amazing. That's fantastic. That's great. So I think the micro lesson there is that people will be skeptical until you do it. And then they're going to think you're like incredible for even trying to do it in the first place.
And just because I know you, I know you're working on a really exciting project right now. So care to tell us about it?
Yeah, so my entrepreneurial journey has led me to where I am right now, where I'm starting this company called Donera. Donera helps young donors be more impactful with their donation in the fight against the climate crisis. I got the opportunity to do some research in the nonprofit space as part of my independent concentration, and I realized that there was a severe gap between the youngest generation of givers, Gen Z, and where climate nonprofits were. 76% of us are worried about the climate crisis. It's like the most important issue that faces our lives today. And yet, despite that, only 5% of total donations each year go to the climate crisis. So what we do is we research the best nonprofits, allow you to make renewable or one-time contributions and have that distributed amongst the best nonprofits. And then we report that progress and impact back to you. For us, we really value absolute transparency and maximizing the impact of your donation. We're doing our best to make sure that every dollar that you give is taking the most CO2 out of the atmosphere at any given time.
That is amazing. If any viewers are interested in learning more, how can they get involved? Where can they find your website and all that?
Yeah, so we're about to launch pretty soon, but if you want to sign up for the beta, you can go to givedonera.org.
I'll link that in the description.
Yeah, please. And then we're also looking at seeing how we can expand right now. So if you have any interest in working with us, you can visit the website and reach out, or you can email us at info@givedonera.com.
That is amazing.
.org, I should say.
Yeah. So now that we're coming towards the end of the interview, I just want to give you room, Austin, in case if you want to share any bits of advice for viewers out there on whether it's entrepreneurship, preparing for college, navigating college. The floor is yours.
The best part about going to university is you understand where you can be at. I think for someone like me, I only knew what was possible because of the people around me and what I saw. In high school, I saw that people started clubs. So I was like, oh, I can do that. But now when I got to Princeton, I realized, oh, you could have started a company in high school. You could have started a nonprofit. You could have started like a really serious organization. And it never occurred to me because I didn't see other people like me doing it. The important through line there is the best part about high school and college is that the people you surround yourself with are the best ways to really learn and grow. I'm a big believer that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It's important that you really think about who you're surrounding yourself with and do you see yourself on that trajectory with them. The second thing is try to learn where your passions are. I did basketball for like 6 years up until freshman year of high school, where I was the last person to be cut for the team. That was the best thing that could have happened for me, probably in high school, but also long-term my life. Because once I stepped out of it, I realized, oh my God, I don't like basketball at all. And yet I spent dozens of hours each week sinking time into it when I wish I could have spent that doing things like the musical or starting my own initiatives. A lot of times we do things because we think we have to, or there's some expectation to, or we're just comfortable there. Don't be afraid to reach out and try doing something new, because the only way you're going to really make waves, really find something you're passionate about, is to try it at the end of the day. And the third thing I'll say is you are so powerful as you are right now. You may think, oh, I'm just in high school. I don't have the ability to do X, Y, Z. That's not true at all. You, as you are right now, are legally allowed to start your own company and start raising money and start hiring employees, right? There's nothing that says you can't. And more important than that, if anything, I think you're more powerful than you are right now than when you were to graduate college. Everyone loves students. Students are like one of the most adored group of people, honestly, in the entire country, if not the world. The types of meetings and the types of opportunities you can get if you have a little bit more forethought than the rest of your peers and send an email out to someone and say, I'm really interested in this. Can you just talk to me? Oh yeah. The number of people, if you're interested in, I don't know, venture capital, if a VC firm, like a decently sized VC firm, got an email from a high school student being like, you're so cool, I want to have like 10 minutes with you, I'm sure they would find time for it. Whereas if you're like 30 and you send that email, maybe not so much. Take advantage of the position you're in right now. Recognize the amount of power and weight you can carry and use, and try to actually do so. I wish I could, I don't wish I could go back to high school, but I wish I had known this back in high school, because I would have done so much cooler stuff. And I'm envious of the people who had that realization during their high school, because you see them now have these incredible experiences and have made these incredible things.
Wow, I feel so inspired to just go and build a few things now. I'll be right back. Go to build a few companies, hire some people, just build a few unicorns. But yeah, all in all, this was super helpful, and you shared so many great tips and insights. So thank you so much, Austin, for your time. And to all my viewers who made it this far, thanks for sticking around. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe for more content like this. Also, be sure to check out Austin's startup. I will link all the info in the description. Okay, thanks guys for watching.
Thank you, everyone.